From concrete domes covering radioactive nuclear craters to $6 billion pyramid-shaped bunkers, here are 10 strangest government facilities. Number 10. Thule Air Force Base. Normally, when you sign up for the Air Force, you don't really expect to get stationed all the way up in Greenland. This is the northernmost Air Force base that belongs to the United States and is found about 750 miles north of the Arctic Circle. How and why did the US manage to construct a military base in one of the toughest places to live on Earth? During World War II, Denmark was occupied by Germany, and the US had an obligation to protect Denmark and her colonies. With Greenland being one of those colonies, the US decided to sneak up there and install a radar and Air Force base before the Germans did. This base was later on used as a main port in order to bring personnel into Camp Sentry, the US's secret nuclear bunker. The US hasn't abandoned this strange military base, and they even constructed this early warning radar system that almost looks like a pyramid. Number 9. Nekoma. Also known as the Safeguard program, this military base was installed in 1976 in order to protect the US's stockpile of ranged missiles in North Dakota. This flat-top pyramid-looking bunker, made from reinforced concrete, was designed in order to stay intact after a small ICBM launch from the Chinese or the Russians. This is believed to be the only known operational anti-ballistic missile bunker in the world at the time, and it even had a nuclear power plant underground. The Great Plains in America's Northwest proved to be a good location to construct military bunkers. You can imagine if the Chinese or Soviets spotted this strange building, they'd have no idea what on earth it really is. It apparently cost $6 billion to construct and was only in operation for about 6 months. This base is abandoned today, but it still stands strong as a reminder of how fear of enemies can result in extremely expensive projects. Number 8. Alameda Naval Air Station. Have you ever wanted to blow things up but were afraid you might get arrested? Or worried about waking up your neighbors? The Alameda Naval Air Station will let you try out some crazy things. This used to be a fairly busy military base back in the Cold War and World War II. Located right next to Oakland, this now has primarily been used as a testing ground for non-nuclear bombs. You might be familiar with this place if you've ever seen the show called Mythbusters, when they need to blow something up in order to bust the myth. Ever wondered how a car might look after you hit it with a grenade launcher? You might be able to find out here, but make sure you get permission first. What's really strange about this place is that it's so close to a heavily populated area, and they gotta be careful. Number 7. The Hanging Bunker. Located along a coastline known as the Devil's Slide, this military installation is also found in Northern California. Here in this photo, you're facing to the north, and you can kind of tell this is a weird building. It gets its nickname because of the mountainside you see in this photo, that you can imagine a slow and painful slide to the bottom. This was a series of observation posts before radar was discovered, and people would actually use binoculars. Here in this image, we see an aerial view of the bunker as it hangs over the cliffside. You can imagine all the great views you would have enjoyed being stationed here, but now it's left abandoned because the military has made advancements in radar. Number 6. Eareckson Air Station. Located on the Aleutian chain of Alaska, the Eareckson Air Station is extremely remote and is only 200 miles off the coast of Russia. The base is only used occasionally, and the Air Force actually pays a group of contractors to keep it from basically being consumed by the Arctic snow. It was originally built as some kind of emergency landing zone for planes coming from Japan or Korea. As the Cold War began to get more intense, it was later on used to place radar and anti-aircraft weaponry, but simply maintaining this place is quite the struggle. Spies would come here in order to check seismic activity from Russian nuclear tests, and in modern times, it's used as a sneaky place to keep an eye on China, North Korea, and other stuff going on in Asia. Building an Air Force base this far west might make the US seem a little bit more aggressive to other countries. Number 5. Underground Submarine Base, Crimea. The Soviets certainly had their fair share of strange military bases as well, and in this photo, you see the blue and green waters of this base located under the city of Sevastopol in the Black Sea. What's a little strange about this place is that it's so secretive and so far inland because of the natural canal-like features. This formerly classified subbase was in full use up until 1993, and it certainly had the capability of putting nuclear subs into the Mediterranean Sea. The Russians called this place Balaklava, and there was plenty of munitions stored here. When the facility was decommissioned, no one still knows exactly where the Russians put the weapons, and it remains a mystery to this day. Now that the Russians have reclaimed Crimea, could they possibly still be using this underground submarine base? Number 4. Enewetak Atoll. When the US was testing nuclear weapons in the Pacific, things began to get a little bit out of control and some strange stuff was going on here. Over 22 massive nuclear and hydrogen bombs were dropped at the Enewetak atoll. This photo here shows a huge concrete lid placed over the crater of a nuclear test called Cactus and their attempt to contain the radioactive materials left over. This was a very beautiful island known as Renut Island with much more wildlife and tropical trees. Many strange experiments took place on this atoll, including Operation Ivy. They even tested unmanned airplanes flying through mushroom clouds after hydrogen bomb detonations to see how radioactive they could get. Renut Island is now deemed uninhabitable for the next 24,000 years due to all the plutonium that's scattered here. The US basically began to feel bad for the inhabitants of the Marshall Islands nearby, and a massive cleanup effort took place to reduce the contamination that cost roughly $947 million. Number 3. Kirtland Air Force Base. Located in New Mexico, this one has to rank pretty close to Area 51, which we already made an entire video on, by the way. Located near Albuquerque, it's the third largest installation by the Air Force Global Strike Command. One of the most important roles this airfield played was the transportation and testing of materials needed to construct the first nuclear weapons. But as time went by, this facility kept getting more and more important in developing new secret weapons. One of the main things they tested here was how to simulate electromagnetic pulses where planes would get electrocuted with 10 million volts. They continue to research how to make nuclear weapons more effective and also laser technology. Here in this photo, we see a laser-mounted KC-135, which was an 11-year experimental project by the military from the 1960s to the 1970s. In modern times, lasers are being developed which can shoot down satellites. But considering that this is in New Mexico, the same state as Roswell, could they be really hiding extraterrestrial aircraft here and not at Area 51? The technology research here seems mysteriously similar to technology aliens would be capable of. Number 2. Johnston Atoll. Located in the heart of the Pacific, this extremely remote island has been under the control of the US military for the past 70 years, which doesn't seem like a good start. It was originally a bird sanctuary, but when tests needed to be done, it was transformed into a naval refueling depot and an airbase used to drop bombs on other innocent little islands in the Pacific. A lot of shady stuff seemed to go on here, and many nuclear and biological weapons were stored here. This place was almost like the Area 51 of the Pacific, and the activities here remained highly classified for quite some time. This area was used for atmospheric nuclear testing, and on July 9, 1962, a 1.4 megaton explosion was detonated at an altitude of 250 miles, resulting in an electromagnetic pulse. This was dubbed Operation Starfish Prime, and it created a massive fireball in the sky, knocking out communications as far away as Hawaii. Many shady experiments took place here that we might get into in some future videos, but in modern times, there's massive leaking crates of Agent Orange seeping into the ground as we speak now, and no one works here anymore. Number 1. Gobi Desert Base, China. So let's go ahead and take a look at a strange base that the Chinese are using. This mysterious image was captured on satellite near the borders of the Gansu and Xinjiang province. What are these squiggly lines doing in the desert? And that's not all. Here we see another mysterious thing in the Gobi Desert in the shape of a circle and what looks like airplanes in the middle of a bullseye. There's many other strange markings in the desert like you can see here, and it's really hard to say what exactly this is. Some claim it's used to calibrate Chinese spy satellites, but what's the deal with all these charred automobiles? Let us know what you think this is in the comments section, and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button for new videos every day.